Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers here on the East Coast of the United States of America. Thank you all for joining me this evening. And I'd like to share with you folks that we're doing some great things here at Campaign for America and a couple of programming notes. Tonight, by the way, we're going to launch our Campaign for America focus on a lot of congressional candidates across America, as well as some gubernatorial candidates and others. That's going to be happening on Monday nights every week from now till Election Day. On Wednesday nights, as you know, we tackle the issues with regard to what's going on in Canada. And the good news is for the Canadians and Americans now who are eager to see Thursday night, folks, Thursday night. For some reason, my staff tells me I got Wednesday stuck in my head. So I'm going to try to get that out of my head and talk to you about Thursday night. Thursday night, Pastor Arthur. The beloved Pastor Arthur will be on our broadcast. He is the gentleman, and a gentleman he is. I had the honor of speaking with him a few times. He went to the truckers' protest in Canada and prayed. Now, it may sound foreign what I'm about to share with the American audience, but this actually happened. Pastor Arthur was obeying the laws. He prayed with the truckers, and Justin Trudeau sent out his cops and arrested him. And he was put in prison. Happening in a free country like Canada. Well, he'll be with us on Thursday night. Tomorrow night, we're going to have a special broadcast, and we will have them from time to time where we will have another American person who's running for office. We're going to have Carolyn Levitt. I'm sorry. She's running in the congressional district for New Hampshire, Congressional District 1. So we got a lot of exciting things happening. And it's great that we have formed partnerships with our Canadian brothers and sisters and friends and have you out there in Canada. And the Canadians have been very good to us. So we're going to be comparing notes, aren't we? Well, we're going to get right into tonight's broadcast. There's a lot to talk about, but I'd like to give everyone the opportunity to know what a real American patriot is, an American patriot running for office. We don't have many of them running these days, but I'm so happy that we have one with us tonight. So I'd like to introduce to you the gubernatorial candidate for the state of Illinois, Gary Rabine. Now, Gary, forgive me if I mispronounce your last name. Is it Rabine or Rabine?
Rabine. It's Rabine time here in Illinois, Steve.
Love it. Well, I've got to share, first of all, something that I read in some of your list of accomplishments. And I'd like to start with that because I know this is a topic that not only affects the people in your state, but people across America and those in Canada. It says here that you're the founding board member of a Job Creators Network, and you were a plaintiff in the federal vaccine mandate lawsuit that went all the way to the Supreme Court. Many CEOs who were too scared to put their names and their jobs on the line and join the lawsuit, but you weren't scared of anybody. You weren't afraid of anybody. You actually took this thing to the top. Could you share with us exactly how this came about?
So, Lieutenant Rogers, first of all, thank you for your service. I've not been blessed to be able to serve my country in the way you have at the highest level, and I've served my country in creating jobs, and that's all I could do, and I've been very good at that. But my thing now is I'd like to serve our state for 2 terms and then go back to business like statesmen should do. So thank you for your service. So that what happened was Job Creators Network was founded about 12 years ago by an amazing person, Bernie Marcus, the founder of Home Depot. Instead of feeling protected by the Obama administration, all the regulation that they were putting in place to protect the big corporations, Bernie said, hey, yeah, this is good for us, but it's not good for America. And so he said, we want to start an organization that protects small businesses and educates them on why bad regulation should be fought and how we can help them fight. So, he said there's no way we could have started Home Depot with all these regulations in place. So what an amazing American he was when he started it. I was blessed to be one of the founders. He asked me to be part of that 12 years ago. And we've grown it from the 5 or 6 of us originally to now over 300,000 strong. And when our crazy president thought that he could dictate to businesses across America that we must, put vaccines in our employees, whether they like it or not, I realized it was totally wrong. Our CEO of Job Creators Network and I got together, and we found after searching for a lot of help, paying for it and being plaintiffs with us, we found 5 other CEOs besides me that signed on and then went after that. and we were blessed to be able to win on January 14th. We won that Supreme Court lawsuit against Biden and that 100-employee vaccine mandate. And that wasn't just for my employees, okay? That was for over 80 million employees across America, hardworking people that after that point did not have to take a vaccination if they didn't want to, right? And so I was very proud to be part of that. And my thing is this: I get one time in this great life in America, and I've been so blessed to be here and do what I've done in business. I want to protect that for the next generation, next 10 generations.
You know, the story you just said is indeed an encouragement for people in every free country that want to exercise their rights and their freedoms. And you stood up. And, you know, Gary, one of the things we have in America, I believe we have leadership vacuum. We don't have leaders like we did years ago. You know, I got a picture of a guy behind me. You know who that is, you know, Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
A real leader. I had a Canadian former premier up in Canada there, Newfoundland, and his name's Brian Peckford, and he is leading the charge there. A real good, strong leader. And when I look at your resume, I've got to tell you, you're the American dream. And a lot of people who don't know you, if you don't mind, I just want to read something here, because this to me talks to the heart of America. And that's what you are. Now, it says here that you learned the work value through your father, who worked night shifts in a factory. And he kept multiple jobs to support their family at the age of 8. Boy, do I remember those times when our parents worked hard, 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs, right? But it said here that you started working when you were about 10 years old. You were a paper boy. You mowed lawns. You actually shoveled driveways and parking lots throughout Illinois. And then by 2011, you had the Raven Group, and it became a national leader, able to pave parking lots in all 50 states. If that's not the American story, what is? What a far cry from those in office, and I know if you run into this, who brag about the money they have, the money they've raised, who brag about the big name endorsements. And I've always said, in the 21st century, it is not the amount of money you have, it's the message you have. And apparently you have the message.
Well, I hope I do. You know, like I said, I've been very blessed to be able to be born in this great country. And my network is very strong with entrepreneurs across America. Not only have I built my own businesses by mentoring great leaders to lead, I mean, that's the only way you can do this is finding people to want to be in my dirty businesses: paving, asphalt, concrete, roofing, and all the things we do. They're not pretty industries, but we find amazing people that have great core values, and then we teach them leadership. Our leaders are mostly all homegrown that we've mentored in our 13 companies today. But you know, the greatest thing is when you can serve your customers at a high level and be the very best in an industry, you're rewarded in this great country. And I believe our politicians have forgotten that they're there to serve, not be served. I mean, our politicians gave themselves a raise in their last session again, and they've underperformed and underdelivered like nobody I've ever seen in the country. So again, our politicians have to learn to serve to make sure that their states are competitive and successful. Our state's one of the worst in the country because we have self-serving politicians. I don't know if I've got any endorsements yet by any politicians in office. I don't know. I don't envision that I'll get any, because the Republicans aren't crazy about me because I'll ruin their gig. They're okay with being last, and the Democrats sure aren't okay with me. So I'm going to be there fighting all the way through. But I'm confident that I can inspire people in the future in Illinois to want to serve and do the right thing and not be there for their own best interest.
Here's something that's perplexing a lot of Americans. It certainly perplexes me. I spent 38 years in law enforcement. I can't wrap my arms around the fact that Chicago is still a killing field. I mean, every single week, every single day, young kids are being shot. Who's being killed? The body count reminds you of the body count in Vietnam. Now, you're going to be governor of the state of Illinois. Could you share with us your plans, your ideas to truly put an end to the carnage in that city?
Yeah, I mean, we're really a war zone, and we should be thinking that here we've got our politicians, concerned, which we all should be, with what's going on in overseas, right? But I got to tell you, we've got leaders that will lead us to the same direction as a communist country. We've got leaders right now that are okay with the murders and the killings that are going on. We've got Soros-elected state's attorneys in Illinois. including Chicago, this Kim Foxx, right? I mean, how we can let a communist bamboozle us into thinking that his candidate is a good candidate is beyond me. But we've done this all over our country. This guy's in the pockets of so many states' attorneys in our country. Somehow we have to stop that. But again, what we've got in Chicago is last year we had 5 times more murders than the city of Chicago or city of New York. In Chicago, 5 times more murders per capita than the city of New York. How crazy is that to think about, right? And New York was no safe haven at all. And when we look at our state as the whole, we've got a state that's a sanctuary state, as you might know, right? And the sanctuary state allows us to be the place where the worst illegal felons in the country of the world come to Illinois because they're safe. Our local police and state police can't even communicate with ICE or federal police to understand how to arrest human traffickers and drug traffickers in our state of Illinois. So we've become the friendliest place in the country for the worst people in the world to be. And again, this is what's going on. Sanctuary state status has done some crazy things to us. But they've got a policing bill that they passed in Springfield that this governor is responsible for. It's called HB 3653. And in 2023, the worst of it goes into effect. And the worst of it is, in Illinois, you won't be able to arrest people for trespassing anymore, okay? In 2023, our police officers can only give them a ticket for trespassing. And cash bail is going by the wayside. So there won't be any cash bail. There'll be no bail on anybody. The judge, if the judge doesn't decide the person must stay, they can leave in a short period of time, right? No matter what they do in our jails, in our crime system, right? So we're going off the deep end. We need to get this governor out, and we need a sensible, conservative, common sense person like myself who can't be bought, and that's the key. Can't be bought, and that's who I'm going to be, and we're going to change the state fast.
I have relatives who live in Illinois, and they know what's going on around in our country. They're particularly concerned about what's going on in Canada because the tragedy there just unfolds every day. And you know what, Gary? It boils down to removing from people the right of free speech, the right to assembly, individual rights. I live in New Jersey, and we have a governor here that attempted to do that, and of course we were able to push back. So my question to you regarding that is, when you see what's going on, does it give you a little bit more of a boost to really want to now get your feet in there and say, look, we're going to stop this? Because there is a fear. Look, you guys in Illinois are closer to Canada than I am in New Jersey. And there is this worry that there's going to be a domino effect across the border. As you mentioned, the southern border, but our northern border has also got a problem. So one, are you aware of that fact and the worry that some of the people in your state have? And what would you do to at least prevent that from happening there in Illinois?
Okay, so the leaders of our state, the Democrats and this governor, they are all for illegal citizens coming into our state. That's the only way they can show that we didn't lose as many people as many think. So we showed a net loss of 122,000 people last year, but it was really much more than that, because it was about 400,000 people that left, and we had about 80,000 people that came in. All right, well, guess what? Most of those people are living off the state. Many of those, I shouldn't say most, many are living off the state, and many are illegal. All right, but our state, they count those as citizens, right? So again, here we're bamboozling our citizens to think, oh, we're only losing 122,000. Well, by the way, 122,000 is the second most per capita in the country. And when you lose 122,000 people, we lost about $7 billion of taxable income. So at 15%, the highest in the country, that's about $1 billion in tax that we lost. Now, the same government brags about the medical marijuana and the recreational marijuana that we're now taxing. Our tax income on that was about 35 million last year. I just looked this up, 35 million. We lost over $1 billion in tax and money that left, income that left our state with 122,000 people last year. So I mean, these people are so stupid. It's either ignorant, stupid, right, or they're Marxists and they want to ruin our country, our state, and our country. Either way, it's really bad. And guess what? When we look at Canada, I mean, that's the only way we're going to grow is, people leaving a communist country that Canada is becoming to come to this socialist state of ours. Well, they're going to be disheartened when they see a strong American as a leader next year, changing our ways. They're going to be in a free state that maybe they didn't expect, because some people in Canada didn't realize what communism is and how socialism turns to communism. But boy, they're seeing it now, aren't they?
They are, and they're fighting very hard with our help to put an end to that. Look, I've been asked. I've got two screens here. I'm looking at one here, and somebody actually, well, first of all, somebody from Canada wants you to move to Canada and run for prime minister. So you're welcome there, but we're going to keep you here, all right? Over here, someone just asked me this question: will you follow the lead of Ron DeSantis in Florida? Will you follow his lead? Because he certainly has made a mark of being a very strong, courageous, and as you said, an individual who can't be bought. So would you be following his lead more than probably any other governor in this country?
So I've been involved in the Republican Governors Association for the last five and a half years now, and I joined it for business reasons, to grow my businesses nationally and to help Job Creators Network and Turning Point USA, two groups that I've been integral in helping to build, to be part of RGA, Republican Governors Association. But guess what? The coolest thing that I learned was, number one, the best governors in the country have what you and I have. They love our country, right? They have common sense and they can't be bought. Simply the common sense that can't be bought. Now, I'm not saying that every Republican governor has that, but a heck of a lot more Republican governors have it than Democratic governors. And Ron DeSantis is one of those. All right. So when I met Ron DeSantis, I met Mitch Daniels and Rick Scott, Kim Reynolds. There's some amazing governors in our country that 100% love our country and that can't be bought. That's exactly who I am. So I am going to be almost identical to Ron DeSantis in my thought and how I lead, for sure. I mean, he comes from military, I come from business background, but I think our hearts are in exactly the same place. So the answer is yes. I believe I'm my own person. I'm individually different than anybody else, but I love leadership and I know what leadership looks like. And it sure isn't what we're seeing today, or what we're seeing in Chicago and Illinois and many of these blue states.
Well, you mentioned earlier that maybe you haven't contributed as much as I have, but you have. Okay, you have. I believe that businessmen and women in our country are the backbone of America, and I know you do. And it seems to me you'd make a good military commander if you did serve, because it sounds like you really care for the people, and that's what we need. We need leaders who care. Now, I want to take a step back about the idea of entrepreneurship and businesses. Now, the problem that I think many of us know, at least in the Republican Party know, is welfare. It's just continuously giving people money. Gary, in New Jersey here, we have people who are on unemployment for a long time, and they're not getting off unemployment. They actually tell you to your face, why do I have to get a job? The government is giving me all the money. So now you as a businessman, the effect that has on an economy. So would you say that, I'll tell you, I've been wanting to ask a business person like yourself this question. So I'm going to ask you, do you think part of the solution to the problems we're having economically is, instead of giving welfare, give those startup costs for people to become entrepreneurs and inventors and get them on the job rolls, and then any money that they're given, they could pay back after they succeed?
Okay, so here, I'm always about mentoring. I've had a mentorship organization. I have a podcast I do, which is called Ditch Digger CEO. It's about entrepreneurs growing something from nothing, right? Basically, rags to riches stories, and I have a lot of fun with that. So entrepreneurship is the answer to many questions, in my opinion. But I got to tell you, when you pay people double the normal than unemployment is normally to stay home, you're going to get a lot more of that. Okay. And we as a state were one of the dumbest states and did that longer than anybody else. There's a handful of states that kept that on as long as we possibly could. What is the result of that? Okay. Number one, we borrowed $4.5 billion from the federal government to fund that. Okay. There's usually a rainy day fund of $1 billion in that unemployment insurance. We blew through that. So $5.5 billion gone, all loaned from the federal government. Now it comes time to pay it back, and before we start paying interest. And this was only last month. And our government blew all that federal money, except they saved up $2.7 billion. Okay, so we got $1.8 billion plus the rainy day fund, $2.8 billion. Now they put back on the backs of businesses. So guess what? Now businesses that got beat up more than any state in the country now have to take on the responsibility of more unemployment cost, because we messed up as a government and they didn't pay it back with the money they loaned from the federal government. Okay, so either way, here it's a matter of the dignity to work is a big thing. It's a very important thing in life. I'm blessed that I couldn't get unemployment as I was an independent contractor out of high school. So I couldn't get unemployment. That was a good thing. I worked in a factory. I learned about immigrants that came here for minimum wage like I was making to look at this country with such a blessing. They knew that they were going to do this minimum wage job for a short period of time, and they were going to be on their way. And many of these people are business leaders today. Okay, that was a blessing. And unfortunately, when we pay people to stay home, they lose that dignity to work, and they have a hard time getting back to work, especially when you're paying them more than they can make otherwise. So we ruined this. Illinois has double the unemployment rate than our surrounding states, and debt that we have to now pay back from our business taxes. Okay, we messed it up. So I believe that first we got to inspire people to want to work and fill jobs. And when they don't even try to get jobs, they probably shouldn't get an unemployment check anymore. Unfortunately, here they do.
All right, do you mind if I keep you over for a few more minutes?
No, I love it. You're awesome.
Okay, I'm going to pick your brain on issues across the country because you're going to be governor of Illinois. People may want to know how you feel about certain issues. So here we go. All right. South Carolina made the news this week. South Carolina, there was a mall shooting. The suspect shot a number of people, and suspect's bond was set at $25,000. And he's going to make that bond, from what I understand, and they're going to let him go, Gary. They're going to let him go. They're going to put an ankle monitor on him. This is the problem we're facing across America and in Illinois, where people are committing very violent and serious crimes, and liberal judges are going to be releasing them. Now, you're going to be governor of the state of Illinois, and you might have the opportunity to appoint a state Supreme Court justice. Would you give the citizens of your state and others across the country an idea of what you're looking for in a judge, number one? And number two, what will be in your hands is an opportunity for true criminal justice reform. And I know people want to hear from you right now. What are you going to make different that will protect people from becoming victims of crimes, giving the police the ability to do their job, at the same time administering true justice?
So, I met with the leaders of the police here last week, Friday, and I met with all these leaders of the police in Chicago and Illinois and across our state. And boy, I feel bad for them, right? These leaders weren't even put in the room with the legislators as they created a new law, this HB 3653 thing, where amazing stupid stuff is in this bill that you would never believe. So these guys they can't find police to come and work in Illinois now, especially Chicago. All right, they're losing police day by day. Now there's vaccination demands that they fought and now they've lost. And so now there's a bunch of police who are going to be leaving now because they're not going to get vaccinated. Okay, so we're going to deplete our police force even that much more. These people that put their neck on the line through all the COVID stuff, they didn't ask anybody if they had COVID as they're rescuing people or helping people in the community, right? And now they're going to be fired because they choose not to take a vaccination. All right, we are doing everything possible to ruin local policing in our state and our country, in my opinion. And this is what socialism does. It's communism light, and this is what they do. And so when I win as governor, this is going to change fast. Our police are going to be respected. That bill, we're going to work hard to rip it to shreds and start from scratch. But we've got these crazy, like I said, these crazy state's attorneys that are funded by communists, okay, in Soros, and we need to be able to recall them. Currently you can't recall these people. All right, I want to work hard to get a bill to say we need to be able to recall bad state's attorneys. And we can do that. That'll help us mitigate these problems in a big way, because it all ends up to be in their hands. We've got a governor that sleeps fine at night. As people are being murdered, he blames it on the state's attorney. He blames it on the mayor. Blames it on the community. He blames it on not enough security for the store that just got robbed and people got murdered. Okay, that's not who I am. As a business leader, like a military leader, you don't sleep at night, in my opinion, when there's major problems and people are at risk of dying. Okay, this governor sleeps fine. True leadership steps up, and I will step up in every case when this stuff is going on.
You use one word quite often in your answers, and I tell you, this is the first time I'm hearing that word used so often, and I'm glad you are, because what you're telling is the truth about something, and that word is communism. There is no doubt in my mind and the mind of others, and again, I always make reference to the guy's picture behind me, how he fought the communists in the 50s and the 60s when he was president of the Screen Actors Guild in California. And then, of course, when he was president of the United States, he helped brought the Soviet Union to their knees. So you're, I'll tell you, you're probably the first candidate running for any office in this country who I have heard say you're really, really ready to challenge the communist ideology of Marx, Lenin, and Stalin. Because as we know, the Chinese Communist Party have their feet in the universities, their feet in our politics, their feet in industry and business. So you're really committed to that.
Well, yeah, you know, you could say I made the mistake and read the Communist Manifesto some time ago, and I wasn't a big academic all-star in any stretch. I got through high school and went into business, went to work in the businesses, right? But I was concerned with what things I saw taught in our schools and things I saw going around with my kids, and I read the Communist Manifesto to understand what Marxism is all about, and all the tenets of Marxism are in place. All right. And one that people don't see, in my opinion, in a big way, we talk about indoctrination in our schools, and it's gotten horrible. And that's why I was part of building Turning Point USA with Charlie Kirk in the beginning. I'm still a big part of that. But I got to tell you, what I see as indoctrination, like people don't see, is indoctrination in the business world. Okay. I'm in CEO organizations across the country and across the globe. I was in YPO globally. I mean, I've started some organizations, been part of growing some CEO organizations. And it's amazing how CEOs in small, mid-sized, and large companies especially, all right, we'll say you can't get involved in politics. Don't talk politics. Don't get involved. I'm like, wait, why not? The direction of politics determines the direction of your opportunities. So we must get involved in politics and understand who to elect and why if we're going to be in business. And I'm telling you right now, this indoctrination of business leadership is incredible. And when you look around, you can't find hardly anybody that's in business like myself that'll speak up, because I do get canceled. I do lose customers, and I may lose a few employees sometimes that don't think like me. And I don't interview people that they have to be conservative, and I don't interview my customers or my vendors to say they have to be conservative or God-loving like me, okay? But I got to tell you, the left is really good at scaring leaders into cowering, and that's what we have going on in our country more than anybody can imagine, and that bothers me a lot.
I mentioned that to our Canadian friends last week, that the left, that the communists, those opposed to individual rights, the only weapon they have is fear. And in Canada, of course, they're locking protesters up for obeying the law. Here in America, we saw pastors put in jail and others imprisoned as a result of their protesting. So we have the 10th Amendment, which gives us states' rights. And I got a couple of questions here with regard to the power that you would have as governor. But it seems like you answered already, but they said, would you have the courage to stand up against the federal government, especially in reference to the influx of illegal immigrants? We see Governor Abbott shipping them to Washington, DeSantis shipping them to Delaware. Look, I hate to see this happen to any human beings. It's a tragedy, but it is a tragedy that was brought to us by the Democrats. It was brought to us by Joe Biden. You're going to be governor of the state of Illinois. And the question your residents are asking are, tell us exactly what your plan is with regard to this overwhelming influx of illegal immigrants.
So I'm going to stand strong with the Republican governors that I respect so much, like Abbott, like DeSantis. The strongest governors in the country I know through this organization I'm part of, and they collaborate well. And I actually am on phone calls as they're collaborating over all different challenges for the last 5 years. So it's been a lot of fun to understand how they think. Okay. Again, this is all before I ever thought about running for governor. I just, after I got to know these guys, said, gosh, they're just common sense people that can't be bought. I can do that. And so either way, when I think about this, in Illinois, we are ruining our state. Now the Chicagoland crime is crazy, all right? But there's something else going on that I'm finding out. As I travel across this great state, I'm meeting with sheriffs everywhere I can. And sheriffs I talk to, far southern Illinois, 5 hours from Chicago, okay, along the Mississippi River, these beautiful little towns are being decimated by fentanyl and drugs coming into those little counties. All right, they've never seen people that are like zombies before, like they're seeing today. They've never witnessed human trafficking like they're witnessing today. Okay, and this is happening because we are, and our governor about 6 months ago passed a bill to stop our police, all of them, from communicating, like I said, with ICE. He eliminated the 3 ICE facilities we had in our state. Okay, eliminated them. Okay, so we got nowhere to put these people if we do catch them now. All right, and now our police can't communicate with ICE or federal police. So what does that mean? He announced this actually when this bill went across and they won, or they signed this bill, this legislation. He announced it. Now we are the friendliest state to immigrants, okay, in the country. And this doesn't mean just immigrants. I love immigrants. My family comes from immigrants. My son's from Russia. My nephew next to me is from Haiti, okay? I got to tell you, I love immigrants because that's what makes our country great, but not illegal. And we can't be okay with illegal immigrants. We can't be okay with 2 million a year coming into our country. And we can't be okay being in the state of Illinois, which is the friendliest states for illegal felons right now. Felons coming into our borders because we're the best state for them, okay? And we're seeing human trafficking. I've got stories of human trafficking I'm hearing about that are so sickening. And I'm so disgusted that it's our state that's welcoming these people the most. We actually passed a law also about 4 or 5 months ago that says, young girls, that 13, 14-year-old girls, if they want an abortion, they should not have to notify their parents, okay? Think about how that works for a human trafficker that has a little 13-year-old girl that's pregnant. They don't have to worry about it now. They can go to any abortion center in Illinois with no thought of a parent being in that decision. Makes it way easier for them than any state in the country, doesn't it?
I got a little memo here from Aurora, Illinois. It's a mom who is concerned about her first, second, third graders being indoctrinated with sexual and gender identity, et cetera, et cetera. So they want to know your position on that and what you would do to address that.
Well, you tell that young mother that God loves her and Illinois is going to love God when I'm the governor, and when we're going to fix that. And I got to tell you, I was with an amazing person from Aurora. I had lunch in Aurora today with a person that understands the Aurora mayor is running for governor against me, and this person, like many people from Aurora, know that mayor, and they're choosing to get behind a person like me. And I got to tell you, I've been fighting indoctrination since starting Turning Point USA with Charlie Kirk 9 years ago in college campuses, then high school campuses. We never imagined that it'd be this fast in our grade schools like it is. So I'm a huge proponent to fighting hard when it comes to indoctrination. Sex education in our grade schools is sickening today. We've got graphic sex education in our libraries now. That's disgusting. It would be called child pornography 3 years ago in our state, and today it's just a regular book now in our libraries for kindergartners through 8th graders to see anytime they want. So we've got big problems, and I'm going to fight that stuff so hard it's going to be crazy. And that's not going to be crazy. It's going to be the right thing to do, I should say.
Yes, so I got 2 more for you. One here, Rantoul, Illinois. In fact, when I was in the Air Force in the 70s, I was stationed at an Air Force base in Rantoul. So I guess the base is gone?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, anyway, veteran, all right, concerned about, says you're going to be the commander-in-chief of the Illinois National Guard. And they're concerned about this idea that the Defense Department is issuing, and in fact, I tweeted this out a couple of days ago, what was happening here, issued an equity report aiming to equalize outcomes for employees and partners across racial, sexual, and gender lines. The veterans are concerned that this is not training our troops to be combat ready, A, and B, to address the natural disasters and other problems that each state confronts year in and year out. What's your position on that?
No, Steve, it's wrong. I mean, are you kidding? We need to honor, masculinity and the fact that it's a good thing, right? And femininity, right? The women and men are who they are for a reason. God made us for this for a reason, right? To see what's going on in our military is sickening. To think that we're going to take whatever 1/4 of 1% of the population and let that culture rule everything we do in our military is crazy. I look at women's sports. I mean, how can we let this happen in women's sports? We're allowing men to dominate women's sports because they want to identify as a woman. I mean, I will go after this hard in our state of Illinois, and I can't do anything with the federal government. But boy, I tell you what, in the state of Illinois, we're going to fight hard to make sure this stuff doesn't continue. I mean, we're not going to allow men to compete in women's sports in our schools in Illinois when I'm the governor. And I got to tell you, I don't think it has any place in the military either.
Well, I've got to tell you, Gary, it's certainly refreshing to hear a grassroots guy like you come out of a world of hard work and entrepreneurship and run for governor of one of the most greatest states. I mean, that's where old Abe came from, right? Didn't Abe Lincoln come from Illinois, huh?
Hey, the guy behind you came from here too, you know.
Right? Yeah, I know. I'm sorry I'm in New Jersey. Well, by heart, I'm a Brooklyn guy, but I'd like you to do a couple of things before we say goodbye to you. Or how about I'll see you later, because we plan to have you on again as we get closer to the election. Would you give us first? Would you give our Canadian friends? We've got thousands of them watching right now, thousands of Americans, but thousands of Canadians. They're very heartbroken over what's happening in their country. They feel that they've been betrayed by their leaders. And I got to tell you, the sadness in the letters that I received, they're concerned about their children. But, you've proven that it takes just a few people to stand up. Could you give them some words of encouragement? I'm just watching these news. I'm looking. I got 2 feeds here. It's just amazing what's happening. Would you, as a political leader in America, that's what I'm asking. Would you give them some of those encouraging words that you gave our American citizens tonight?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, we all have to stand back and say, I mean, there's a simple question we can ask of anybody we have representing us in leadership and in business, but especially in government, right? In business, we have to lead and we have to serve our customers and our teammates and our vendors. If we don't, business just doesn't last, okay? In government, it used to be that way. People knew they had to serve. There wasn't going to be a lot of money in this servant political world, right? And so they knew there was going to be a statesman-like thing. They do it for a couple terms and they go home to work because they needed to make money. And they weren't. You could tell they weren't people that were in it for themselves. And we just need to look at everybody running everywhere, whether it's here or Canada, wherever, and say, are they out for the best interest of the citizens first? Are they out for the best interest of freedom first? If they're not, man, we got to dig hard to find somebody else. And my goal is to inspire people across our great state, across our country. And there's people like this who've inspired me, right? To say I will be the person that people could recognize as, okay, that person doesn't need the job. That person 100% has work ethic like no other politician. And they're going to do that job for a couple terms and they're going to go back to business because they want to serve. We need people like you who have served our military. We have people that look at the same, they have to look at the same way in politics. And we need, once people like me are in office, we need to cut the pay of politicians to be more of a part-time job, like Texas and other states that are smart, and cut the benefits so they're simple 401ks that people can't really live off of and get to be millionaires off of. So my goal is to inspire that in the coming years, and I'm going to work hard to do that because freedom is not free. And if we don't have people that understand, all the tenets of freedom, we're going to lose our great country.
In closing this segment, when you said that more or less, who's going to go and who's going to rise to the call, I actually went to the scripture in the Bible, Gary. It said, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, 'Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?' And I said, 'Here I am, send me.'" And that is what you have said. That was your answer. Send me. Well, I salute you. And I just want to thank you so much for stepping up.
Thank you so much for being on your show. It's been a blast. And I appreciate your service. And boy, let's work together to keep this country free.
Well, maybe on my way to Canada, I'm going to stop by Illinois and maybe we'll say a few words to the people out there for you. How's that? Okay.
I'd love to see you here for sure.
Right. God bless you. Thank you. And I salute you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. Folks, what a pleasure to see a guy run for office who really is an entrepreneur, who came out of the streets working hard. And I want to share now with our Canadian audience that I'm so thrilled that Thursday night we're going to have Pastor Arthur on. But a real quick update. As you see, this is a gentleman in the United States running for governor of the state of Illinois, has a lot of contacts in business, industry, and politics, aware of what's going on in Canada, and is going to step up, believe me, to do what he can to make sure that the people of his state certainly are taken care of, but also those who love freedom and liberty around the country. What happens in one state here happens in another, and now what's happening in America is going to happen in Canada, and it's not going to be the reverse, because what's going to happen in Canada, or what's happening in Canada, the Canadian people are holding the line. The courageous Canadian people are holding the line for those of us who are in the United States, and we have to help them hold that line, and by golly, we will. So remember what Gary just said when he was heard the call. All right, he heard the call. He said, "Look, I'll go. Send me." Remember what it says in that scripture: "Whom shall I send?" All right, I heard a voice from heaven. Who shall I send? And all of you in the United States and in Canada and in other countries around the world watching us and listening to this broadcast and understanding what's going on, you looked up to the heavens and you said, "Lord, send me." So all of you have a big, big part of bringing freedom and liberty to the future generations of Americans, of Canadians, of Frenchmen, of Germans, of people who are living in Great Britain and around the world. You all have part of this. You're all a big part of it. So don't feel down and out. Don't feel helpless and hopeless, because when you see leaders like Brian Peckford in Canada, leaders like the gentleman we just heard, Gary Rayburn, and some of the leaders we're going to have on this broadcast, remember this. Remember this. You're a leader. And you know what your office is? Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa. You know what your office is? Aunt, uncle, businessman, businesswoman. You know what your office is? Your office is the one who wakes up in the morning and says, "Let freedom ring." And you're the one that before you put your head down on that pillow at night, you thank God Almighty, you look to the heavens and say, "Lord, help me, let freedom ring." Thank you all for tuning in tonight. God bless you all, and God bless the freedom-loving people around the world. See you tomorrow night now, special broadcast, when we have a U.S. congressional candidate coming on Thursday night. Right, go again, that Wednesday. There's something wrong with me, folks. Wednesday, skip Wednesday. We got to get rid of that day. Thursday night, here on Campaign for America, that beloved Pastor Arthur from Canada. Thank you. God bless you all. Have a great evening. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers.